Hey, good morning. Live from Italy. Here with me, myself, and I. Getting some steps in this morning. Here with my wife. She's probably in bed, being a little sleepy girl. My dad and my brother are also in Italy at my grandmom's house. They live in Denmark, so for them it's an easier trip. So much of my childhood was spent in this town. I'll get you guys some of the view when I get to the top of the hill over here. Yeah, so much of my childhood was spent in this town. My dad was like, I think because I used my full name on this page, I'm not gonna like get into specifics because I don't know how much he would appreciate it. He's not, work stuff, You gotta be gentle with how I discuss it. But my dad and my mom just weren't able to be present too much. My mom struggled with a lot of challenges, and my dad just simply was not there at the moment. So I spent a lot of time in this town as a kid. I think the first time I came here I was 4, by myself. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14. I came back over and over. And it's always wild being back, man. Things change, things don't. It definitely reconnects me with things, But anyways, I want to talk about food, I guess. I started losing weight in January 1st, 2021. I was 350 pounds. And it's, going to be what? Something like 5 months from now. It's going to be, what is that, 5 years? 5 years later. And I've kept, as of this morning, I've kept 140 of that weight off. The lowest I ever got to was 186 a couple months ago. And I just couldn't keep it. I went about it in like the worst way. Tons of protein, zero carb, low fat. And whenever someone tells you that something like that is gonna keep you shredded for life, it's not. It's not. You need to have a very specific genetic predisposition and metabolism. Otherwise, you're gonna just trash your hormones. Eating food, like eating high carb, it's really good for some people. It's not good for other people. And how do you know? Well, you got to do it. And that's the only way you're going to know. And you got to do it for a while. You got to do it for a couple weeks. It's not just 1 week and see how I feel. No, you got to do it for weeks. You got to do it for weeks. How do you know if a ketogenic diet works really well with you? You got to do it for a while. You got to do it for weeks. I'll tell you, someone that's done like pretty strict Lion diet, carnivore, all that. First couple weeks are tough. Then there's like a good 30 to 60 days where I start getting really strong. My lifts start going up at the gym. The cardio feels pretty good. And then after about 2 months, a month, I start feeling like ass on it. And my energy and lethargy start to just both go to the worst points they could possibly be on a track, And so I'm like curious what eating is going to look like on vacation. A couple weeks ago, I was talking about how depressed I was and how vacation felt ruined. And in a sense, it's still true, but I've sort of blown past it. I'm not present with that sadness anymore. It's kind of whatever at this point. This incline is a beast. Yeah, I'm not really present with the sadness right now because it's just not good for me to let this stuff drain my heart and soul and to crash my mood. Just like how it's not good for me to enable my binge eating. You know, and that's the most important thing I've got to really keep a track of. Not the macros, not the calories. Although I need to also track those. The one that I have to like really keep an eye on is how I'm taking care of myself, because I'll get all caught up in this fitness space and drive myself crazy. And for what? This town, right, you see that mountain right there? This town has a mountain, and right at the top of the mountain there is a real rockin' Jesus statue. I used to climb up there. Maybe one day I'll go up there and get some footage. I'm also going to get some footage of the stuff I'm eating on. So yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna eat, man. I'm trying to behave myself. Like last night I had a sandwich. I had a sandwich on the plane. Let me start with this. So the day leaving, you know, airport food, no matter what country you're in, unless you're fucking a Saudi emirate flying, you know, state-of-the-art planes with VIP seating, the food ain't good. The airport food ain't good. And so it's not even worth it to burn any calories at the airport or on the plane food. So I did a little protein sparing modified fast that day. I had some egg whites with some grilled chicken, a little bit of fat-free cheese. You know, you get a lot of volume. I added 4 whole eggs to it. So it's like, you know, I got like 30 grams of fat for the day, 35 probably total. A couple protein bars and some watermelon. You know, overall, it was only like a 1,600 calorie day, where I got 186 grams of protein or something like that. And, you know, what, maybe like 30 grams of carbs, 35 grams of fat. The energy components were kept relatively low. And it actually held me down, you know, between the busyness of traveling, the discomfort of being on a plane for a bajillion hours. I wasn't really in food mind at all. And the food noise in general was pretty drowned out. We got to Rome. It was the next morning now. And, you know, like I said, airport food ain't all that good, but I needed to get a little something. And so I was thinking about how can I make some good choices. And my first option was going to be, I was going to get a little sandwich. I was going to have a pistachio cream croissant. I was going to have maybe a Coke Zero or something to wash it down. And when I was in line, I saw some protein bars, which didn't always used to be a normal thing to find in like convenience areas in Europe. So I checked them out, checked out the packaging, and the nutrition information was actually like pretty close to American products. I was kind of surprised, because normally what you'll find is essentially a chocolate bar with, you know, 12, 13 grams of protein. But this was like comparable to a Bear Belt, like 212 calories and, you know, 20 grams of protein. So I picked up 2 of them, and I had a little sandwich, a little piece of bread with mortadella, stracciatella, which is like a creamy cheese. It's sort of like the unfinished cheese curd from when they make the fresh, wet mozzarella. Which I'm sure it's not the most calorie-friendly item, but there wasn't much on the bread. And yeah, so that was all I had while traveling. And then we got to my grandmom's. Had a plate and a half of spaghetti. I would say it probably came out to about 200 grams of spaghetti. I would say the only real hurt piece in that meal was the insane amount of grated cheese I put on top. That stuff is, you know, stuff like cacio e ricotta, Parmigiano Reggiano, Pecorino, these kind of grated cheeses that you finish your pasta with are, I don't know, I want to say 110 calories per ounce. And it's hard to eyeball an ounce. Yeah, especially when it's grated, because it, you know, it's a little different than when you see chunks. And then we broke out a bunch of American slop that we brought for my family, you know. I brought my little brother a big tub of the Ghost cookies and cream, or the Ghost Chips Ahoy protein powder. My dad loves honey buns, that was his thing. We brought my grandma some Tate's chocolate chip. And some Pepperidge Farms Chessman butter cookies, and, you know, other little treats. And, you know, I probably had about another 600 to 800 calories of that stuff. So yesterday was probably and then I finished with a protein shake at night because I simply just didn't have a lot of protein yesterday. And that's kind of where my thinking's at now, is, you know, I need to sort of lean into some of that protein leveraging while I'm on vacation. And I've also asked my wife to help me be accountable. You know, like talking to her before meals and being like, this is what I'm allowed to have. Can you support me with that? You know, I don't need 2 entrees of anything. Feels good to not have so much stress on me. And just be out getting some steps. It's not good to get crazy over the scale, man. You know, I'm like tight with a bunch of these guys on Twitter that are running every gray market research compound and anabolic under the sun. And I see the way they look. And I don't know, it probably ain't all that good for my self-image. It almost makes me feel like I'm still that fat kid in school looking at the not fat people. When the reality is like, I look good. I know I look good, but at the same time, I'm of 2 minds about it. And I can also be very unhappy with the way I look. And obviously food's a part of that. And food's a part of this journey. I don't get to just opt out and never eat again. It's not like drugs where you just abstain. So, still figuring out a healthy relationship with it. I'll probably be figuring that out the rest of my life. But for today, I do not feel hopeless about it. And it's nice and chilly here. It's very chilly. It's like probably like 68 in the shade and 75 in the sun. Dang, it feels good. And I'm about to pop into this church. It's open. Shoot up a little prayer. And I will pray for all you guys. I hope you're all praying for me. Life ain't easy. Life ain't easy. You know, we're lucky to have some friends and family that care about us. And yeah, I'll be getting some pictures and vids, all the cool stuff we're eating, and keeping in touch with you guys and staying present. Have a good day, guys.